hard to follow you guys. So you covered most of my points. I'm going to come up with some on the fly radical points here as we go, and we'll see how it goes. And Danny just fell out of his chair. So, all right. So I'm with the Boldt company. We're a general contractor throughout the country, focused in the Midwest and the Western areas of the country. About $1 billion a year. What that looks like in a couple of years is hopefully a little different because we're also seeing the same growth curve. I see, which is the topic of today. And I was focused mostly on our volumetric side, our modular and volumetric side. I think we've covered a lot of the other supply chain things. We did about $75 million worth of fully volumetric 2 years ago. Last year we had a little bit of a dip. It was kind of this COVID impact and then a little catch-up effect, and then people now starts to rebuild into long-term programs that we have coming here in the next couple of years. So I think a couple of things, we talk about transitions here and business and how it's changing. I think a couple of things I see there I wanted to point out. I think our customers really are done with us in many ways. They want to start focusing on what their focus or core is again. And I think we said that earlier, that it's not like we're the necessary evil to them, right? And I think we should connect on that because that's really what should be driving us. The only reason they spend hours and have staff writing specifications because they don't trust us, right? So we get through that, we can probably get to a different place. Certainly more vertical integration and supply chain consolidation has been the topic. How you get there, I think we see a variety of ways to do it. You bring it in-house or you're partnering. That's one of the paths I will talk a little bit about. And I also think that where you need to have your skill in terms of your value stream has changed drastically. It's much further up the value stream these days. And that allows us to really change the entire workflow. And digitally, of course, we're here talking about a lot of technology, but also how we do things and how we partner. But it also, we need to acknowledge that it really does challenge the roles of our trades today and everything that goes with it. So how do we answer to some of these changes that we see? I think, so we've been around for 125 years. There's always challenges with that. There's also great benefits with that. I think we chose the path of separation, like you saw, others have talked about as well. We created a group that is allowed to go a little bit outside of the norm of the company, and then as that DNA matures, bring that back into the organization at the right times, and then benefit from the stability and the maturity and also the experience of the regular operation, but then bring in the crazies when we organized our thoughts enough that we can play in the same sandbox. So we thoughtfully or focus, or maybe it just happened, I don't know, but we did start develop our IC capabilities fairly broadly. And part of that was we weren't really sure. There was a lot of great knowledge from here out of forums of how should this really look like. And I think we decided we're just not smart enough. So we want to make sure that we're open enough to see what's coming in the door. And then as we get more and more information, try to narrow that down. And that's what we did. We did do, however, add some skills that we didn't have before to start managing design for manufacturing and supply chain thinking and other things like that outside of regular product delivery and product management. So that we did bring in-house pretty early, and we're working on developing that further. A couple of thoughts on the supply chain and vertical integration here again. We really came from our integrated product delivery focus. Our company has for many years focused on bringing integrated products deliveries together for large projects. We went about a little bit the same. We are what you can think about as capital light. Somewhat, we still build a facility, but who actually operates in that facility, we work focusing more on partnerships and getting our trade partners into our workflow. So and also with that, we're pushing them to get more and more standardized and to develop their componentry and productize their solutions into our box, our volumetric buildings that we build through the factory. I am personally, and we us as a company are really reluctant to invest in, and I come from the car industry, it's my background, to reinvest in automation too early. I really think that it does create one of those, first, if you don't know enough, and you start to continuously improve, once you have a line set up, you can only continuously improve that line, even though what the book says that you can radically change. It's a very methodological improvement. But also, if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So I think that we wanted to be very, very flexible. And that's why you see a lot of the factories, especially in the US, a little bit more specialized now, because I think Europe have come a little bit further, are pretty manual processes. We have a flow, we have our tech come through that, we have our stations, but then what actually happens at each station is still pretty manual. And it is because we're changing every day. So if we try to standardize that too early, I think it comes to with a big cost to us. So it's not just that we don't want to invest in IC, we do, but we want to invest in right time and mature that as we go. Another question has been, we have talked a lot about market approach and where should we operate and what should we do? We are a patient company. We're from the Midwest and we've been around for a long time. We're not going to jump on a fad. It's just not going to work. Even if I want to at times, I just get denied. But so we're trying to match that. So we're actually matching our offerings with the demand curve of our most progressive clients, right? So if we go right at the cutting edge of what we can possibly sell, and then we go a little bit further, but we don't go beyond that right now. We started in the healthcare. That's our bread and butter. It's also the more complex of the industries we're in, higher value, higher costs. So it's a little bit, I call it Tesla model. I'm not sure it's not called that at all, but they start with an expensive sport car, right? You have the early adopters and the people that really want to get on board. And also they are consciously or subconsciously, they're investing in that development of the industry through that. And as you get better at it, we really saw, and it worked that way, as we get better and better and our cost comes down, new markets just open up naturally. So we kind of start to fitting smaller and smaller holes. And I think that's something that has worked for us so far. And we probably at this time now have to start being more direct on where we're going, because we need to specialize a little bit, but that will be next year. And where we take the productization and start working more on products is really where we have repeated demand. We developed something, we were pretty custom in the beginning. People came with, I want this kind of clinic, or I want this kind of CUP or whatever, we'll develop it. Now we're starting to see, you want the same over and over, then now you have something. So we've gone that route as well. I think on the volumetric side, we certainly started temporary. COVID came, we had a program. COVID came, everyone wanted beds tomorrow. Great, how do you get beds tomorrow? And we looked at it in our warehouse and said, well, we got to get started. So we started to do very temporary solutions. Still needed to be code compliant, needed to be approved necessarily, but they go through that. But taking that pretty quickly and now turning it into permanent solutions. So this is a permanent solution we just finished in Wisconsin, but even matching the brick of the existing hospital. As you're walking through it, you can't see that it's modular or volumetrically built, right? It's just a building. And that's where we need to be and then we need to excel from. That took about 2 years for us. And even the insides, you have the same gut, you have the same steel, you have the same everything. It's just a matter of how that supply chain came together and deliver it. So there are a couple of things that we really need where I think we need to go as an industry and as a company. One of them is that we completely need to change the procurement experience of our clients. Talked about it in the beginning. Boldt talked about it as well. They're only in that engagement with us because they have to, right? You should be able to go online and get a 2 OR suite and a clinic and a couple other things just by clicking, like you're buying a truck. The information is there. It's very code-based. The algorithms are there. You just have to put it together and get that interface and be comfortable with that interface. And then there is a price. And you got to stand by that price. If you can get there, I think that all of the stuff comes together by itself. Cost neutrality, it's a must. We're still trying to shoehorn in when the business case of someone fits that they get it a month earlier, and therefore you can take 10 million of that to subsidize your development. That is just not sustainable. And I think we need to mature into that. Um, very similar to what we heard earlier today. And again, you stole all my topics here because I really wanted to talk about the changed offering in the market, that ecosystem that we were talking about earlier. That's really where it has to be. And I think that we're getting there fairly quickly, but it's going to take a little bit of redefining ourselves as a general contractor and as a fabricator as well. All right.